What up, perps? Kid Copious back in effect. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here. We're repping America, the center, common sense, and that all-important freedom. For the last month, I've sadly had to watch as my dad withers away. And I think we're getting down to the last hours right now. So, if you got parents that raised you right, let you be yourself, and supported you, take time to let them know that you appreciate it and that you love them because, you don't know what tomorrow holds, man. A month ago, my dad was healthy and we thought he'd live forever. And now we're saying our goodbyes. I hate to bring you down. Try to bring you back up again. Let's get this thing popping. Let's start off with some wackadoodle crazy shit right here. I think basically Pence is saying, hey, if you're a Republican who wants to play along with the rhinos, so to speak, be part of the swamp, I'm your guy. I'm not, believe me, I wish we had another choice other than Trump. I really do. I wish we had somebody who was an outsider, somebody who wasn't just a political elite, who was just acting like a king or a prince or a viceroy or a duke or whatever the frick they used to have back in medieval times. Because that's what it looks like right now. I don't think the Republican Party or the Democratic Party really cares about the average American person. They care about their political career. They care about their wallet. They care about their publicity, their pub, as they say. Pence ain't the man. He's not. I don't think DeSantis is. I think we need to continue to shake things up with Trump. I guess that's kind of the only reason I'd vote for the guy. Unless somebody who I think is purple emerges. And we're not seeing it. We're seeing Democrat nominees talking about returning to mask mandates. We're seeing how a lot of these Republicans aren't really doing much about the Hunter Biden situation. They're not doing much. Where's the frickin' impeachments? If you're working up to it, great. I'm going to reserve judgment until that time. But come on, man. This ain't the answer. So in Texas, a judge is now allowing women with complicated pregnancies to get abortions. And of course, what's going to happen here is that then the Republicans are going to sue, and there's going to be an injunction. So meanwhile, women with complicated pregnancies where they're going to lose their babies or whatever, they're going to have to suffer that particular trauma or possibly risk their own lives. They're not going to be able to get an abortion. And, we've got bigger problems than this. And when the Republicans do this, this is what signals to me that they don't care about the average American. Look, if your state wants to outlaw abortion, put it on the ballot. But when it's just the governor doing it, whether it's Newsom or it's Abbott, I don't like it when our leaders do things that have this giant effect without letting us vote on it. It's one thing to say, we're going to fund this particular little project over here and, whatever, direct resources this way or whatever. That's fine. Okay, some of that we don't need to vote on. But something like as big and as fundamental as abortion, it should have been voted on. This one was, this liberal professor up in British Columbia puts out one of those, one word at a time with a period, let little children see. And then she goes on, and she's talking about them seeing private parts in a casual, normalized, totally safe way. I don't understand what that is. But let your kid look at porn? I don't, wander up to people on the streets and say, hey, excuse me, may we see your Johnson? I don't really understand how the hell this works. But again, this is the craziness that we're dealing with right now, where we have educators who are seemingly promoting pedophilia. That's kind of scary, and then what's even scarier is that the Department of Justice again, may be working with leftist groups to silence parents again. Parents are supposed to be concerned about their children. The Southern Poverty Law Center, as left-wing as you could get, any more left and they'd be right. I don't even know what that Son of a bitch. But they just added concerned parents to its hate map. Now, I don't know, that may be an oversimplification by the author saying concerned parents, but they did. On June 6th, it came out that the Southern Poverty Law Center brandished groups such as Moms for Liberty as hate groups, anti-government extremist groups, and part of the anti-student inclusion movement. Look, we should be teaching inclusion, but we don't need the finer details, okay? It's one thing to instruct people to love one another. It's another to suggest where they can get sex toys at a CVS, okay? I don't want to go on that transit. Whatever word I was trying to use there. But again, they support transgender lessons. Okay, fine. Accept transgender people, but we don't need to be taught that. We don't need to teach that. We don't need sexually explicit books. No matter what the subject matter is. No matter what it is. We don't need books about banging in libraries. Whether it's straight or gay or all the other craziness that's going on. We don't need that. And we certainly do not need critical race theory that frames America as institutionally racist and blacks as inherently oppressed. There are videos out there by black people explaining some of the truths about slavery, that blacks owned slaves. Some of the largest slave owners were black. And only a small percentage of the enslaved Africans actually came to America. It's more a South America problem, to be honest with you. We are not institutionally racist, and blacks are not inherently oppressed. Okay? Sometimes groups that don't do well aren't doing well because of the way that group acts or the makeup of that group or what it is that there are issues going on. I started this talking about my dad, and that's one of the biggest issues that faces the black community. And not even just the black community, any poor community. Because there is an advantage to being a single mother when it comes to government money. But that's where the advantages end. You get more money from your welfare check. You probably make more if the dad's gone. But what's the downside? You have a mom who's just trying to work a job or whatever and keep control of all these children, having to fight against the internet, the streets, the shit that they're being taught in school nowadays. You need two parents. I don't care if it's a man and a man, a woman and a woman, a man and a woman. I don't really give a shit. I don't care if two non-binary people want to raise their child, but it takes two. That bitch Hillary once said it takes a village. Okay? It doesn't. It takes two people. And it takes a family. I mean, yes, you can include the extended family in that. But it takes more than just a single mom struggling to get by. Simply doing it because she gets extra money from welfare. Maybe the government should try to incentivize family units instead of tearing them apart. Because right now, the left just wants to tear apart the family, even though they fucking know it's bad. But they want the bad. Department of Justice, again, at it. First, they, want to work with ending hate groups that simply want to know what's going on in their kid's school, to trying to jail Hunter Biden's partner before he could testify. And, on the eve of Devin Archer's bombshell testimony to the House Oversight Committee, the DOJ tried to put him in jail. Okay, that's intimidation of political opponents. They dropped the campaign finance violation charges against Bankman-Fried. On Thursday, they leveled new charges against Donald Trump. Whether these things are correct or not, it's the timing. It's the timing that reveals the plan. Okay? Maybe Sam Bankman over here, who happened to be Biden's second biggest donor, maybe he didn't violate any campaign finance rules, okay? Maybe the charges against Trump are true. It's the timing. And basically, at the end of the day, You know, Archer testified that, yeah, he received money, you know, and they cut the payments in half after Joe left office. Pretty suspicious, right? He went to dinner, you know, with these people, and he saw it. He also said he'd be shocked if anybody made a $5 million payment. Maybe he's right about that. Maybe there weren't payments made to them. There were payments made to a lot of people, but he wasn't aware of it. Probably because he didn't get a cut. But he definitely testified that Joe Biden was on the speakerphone during business meetings at least 20 times that he remembers, over 20 times as he says. And he testified that Joe was put on the phone to sell the brand. Look, people were not giving Hunter Biden and the rest of the Biden clan money out of the goodness of their heart. They did it because Biden was a senator, a vice president, and now a president. One of the reasons why Joe Biden might have even been put up for the nomination is because that's what the corrupt individuals that were paying him off wanted. They knew it. They bought influence. Not only did they buy influence, like in the case of Ukraine, sure, they paid Biden, he did his little job, but now you blackmail him. See, that's the big problem here. When you look at what Trump did versus what Biden did, you can't blackmail Trump. He don't give a shit. He'll pay you money and it'll go away if you're a porn star. But you're not blackmailing him because you're not giving him any money. Ukraine and China have funneled money to Joe Biden. It's really looking that way. There you go. Senate Republicans rushed out last week to sabotage House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's efforts to hold Joe Biden accountable. Why else would they join Adam Schiff in criticizing McCarthy for raising the prospect of an impeachment inquiry? Because they are all in the same fucking camp. One has an R, one has a D, but they are in the same camp. That camp is corrupt politicians. This one's from California. I just found it funny because you literally have this chick on fucking film with a rock in her hand, throwing it through windows. And we're supposed to make the sacrifices. Crazy time down there. No. She should be allowed to do whatever she wants. In the name of compassion. You slap the right label on shit, and it gets results because people are too stupid to think for themselves. What's going on in California, in a lot of our cities, is ridiculous. I saw it in Vegas, but I also saw the cops dragging the passed out people off. As long as you were upright, the cops kind of left you alone. But if you were passed out on the strip, they got rid of you. It's something. Houston's doing something. Why isn't LA doing something? Well, you know what? Blue states, blue cities, y'all have weaknesses, man. Because you buy into a bunch of bullshit and then you ignore the evidence. You know this isn't working, but yet we're going to keep it up. We're also going to keep up this big, giant lie. You know, they don't want people to think, they want people to think that the only people in this world that are against gay people, LGBT, whatever, are white Christians. So when some Muslims, who, by the way, Muslims can be white, Muslims can be brown, Muslims can even be yellow, just so you know. I mean, it's like most religions, it's multinational. But the media ignores a Muslim killing of gay man because it doesn't fit narrative. And this isn't some sort of hyperbole. He was dancing, or they say voguing, to Beyonce. And words were exchanged. He was stabbed. They tried to help. And he bled to death. Every life matters. But Sibley happened to be black and gay. Normally, either of these things, let alone both, would attract serious attention from the media and campaign groups. Yet while the killing has widely been reported as a hate crime, it's the wrong sort of hate crime. It doesn't fit the narrative. Back in the day, back when I was younger, back when my whole family was younger, we didn't have narratives. Yeah, I mean, they tried to manipulate some news stories. They tried to make it look like we were winning the Vietnam War. But there weren't narratives. According to one of the friends who was with the dead dancer, they hated us because we are gay, screaming, "We Muslim and we don't like gays," as we were innocently pumping gas. And one of them was stabbed and killed. Perhaps, as the author says here, perhaps the media was simply cautious about reporting this, given that it was only one eyewitness. But yet, there wasn't. There was a second witness. There was the gas station employee who said the flamboyant behavior of Sibley and his friends offended the other group because the other group were Muslim. But you're going to protect them. You know, I watch a lot of detective shows, and so I all the time, I always look for the motive. Muslims are a large group of people, and a lot of people think that Muslims are oppressed because, you know, Israel, right? But they are often a very intolerant people who don't separate religion and reality. In a lot of heavily Islamic Muslim countries, that's what the government runs as. That's what they base their laws on. So meanwhile, the liberals, the left wing, the media, you want to rail on Christians and Catholics and other groups because you've already lost them. But there's still a lot of Muslims, so you better keep them. So you better keep everything quiet. Right? Look at ABC News. Teen charged with murder and killing of New York dancer O'Shea Sibley. Right? It's been charged as a hate crime. Right? Well, of course, the teenager, because it's just a teenager. It's got to be a white guy, right? They got to clarify that at some point. Now, you know, he was dancing, voguing, and they were confronted by another group. There were homophobic slurs thrown. The confrontation then turned violent, and Sibley was stabbed. No, he was just stabbed, okay? He was just stabbed. He was minding his own business, and he was stabbed. Didn't turn violent. One of the Muslim kids turned it violent. Sibley was pronounced dead at a local hospital. Police say they are trying to move quickly to establish what happened and whether this was a bias crime. We already know. The witnesses already told you. Okay? And of course, they want to follow it off with the killing comes at a time of growing anti-LGBTQ extremism against the U.S., across the U.S. Right? Because, of course, the USA is the worst place to be if you're gay. Of course. But you notice they never mention the racial or religious identity of the killer. They bury that because they just want you to be stupid and assume it was a white dude. It was a white dude with a swastika on his head and a Trump t-shirt on his chest. That's what they want you to believe. And it wasn't. And there's video. Let's look at this map here. I put in a Google search. Where is it illegal to be gay? That's the map. You know what I don't see there? I don't see any white Christian countries on that list. I don't see any Catholic countries. I'm looking at the Central America, right? That's pretty much Catholic down there. No, not illegal there. Look at the Christians up in the so-called white areas, you know, across the top there. No. Where is it? Oh, look, over here in Indonesia, which is a lot of those countries are Muslim controlled. Over here, almost the entirety of the Mideast, most of Africa, let's say half of Africa. Again, Muslim populations, right? And then you got this outlier over here. And this is just fucking Guyana. I don't know how that gets on the map. It's illegal there. But you know what? Guyana? Not white, not Christian. Very multi-racial, predominantly, originally, a lot of Indian over there. India is one of the countries that does not forbid you from being gay, although some of their neighbors, like Pakistan and whatever the hell that is over there, do. But again, I don't see any white countries on there. If I'm missing one, I'd love it. Point it out in the comment. What country on there is fundamentally run by whites and Christians or Catholics? Or any other freaking religion. I mean, some of them might be Christian, but they're certainly not white Christian. But the media just has to keep the spin going. They know it's clickbait. Canada midfielder Quinn becomes first out transgender soccer player at World Cup. Right. Except for one problem, folks. Quinn is not transgender. Quinn is not a trans female. Quinn was not born a man and transitioned into being a female. Quinn is a woman playing on a woman's team who identifies as non-binary. Fine. I'll remember that. I will try to say they. Okay? Quinn would like to be referred to as they. Fine. But that's not transgender. It's just spins. It's just lies. They don't... the problem we have that people are not seeing is that the media expects you to be stupid and lazy and take their word for all this goddamn shit. All right? I mean, hey, I'm fine. You know, my only complaint with Quinn, wrong team, man. Okay, USA, USA. I mean, I think you could probably figure that out. You know, I've been watching the Women's World Cup, women's soccer, as far back as Mia Hamm, Kristen Lilly, Julie Foudy. I believe that was the beginning. Do I want a fucking medal? No, I don't need a medal, okay? I just enjoy the game. All right, the bonus is that I get to support a group as they move up in the world. I'm glad they're getting paid more. They need to bring in more and they should get paid more. People should not be ripping them off. But this is just bullshit. You know, trying to make it out like Quinn is actually transgender. It's ridiculous. Even saying that Quinn is the first non-binary player. Who the fuck cares about something like that? Who cares? We'll try our best to accommodate. I'm not going to discriminate against somebody, against a female that sort of like looks half female, half male, however you would describe non-binary. I don't really give a shit about that. I don't really care. But to try to make it out like it's some sort of civil rights thing when it's not. It's a woman playing on a woman's team. Whatever. More bullshit out of the Democrats. Cinema here, who, again, might be a little purple, you know. She's definitely bell-worthy. It's an old... Never mind. She's livid about federal aid for migrants going to New York City instead of Arizona. Because they are giving $100 million in federal aid for migrants being distributed in New York City. Because the plan all along is to let in all of these immigrants, assuming that they're going to vote Democrat because it was the Democrats that let them in, and then put all the burden on red states to collapse them, to make their numbers look bad. Oh, look how fucking broke Texas is. You know, meanwhile, California is broke, right? New York is broke. So you want to make Texas spend money on an American problem. And you always want to frame it that way because they always do that. All the politicians say it. It's a political stunt by Abbott. No, it's not. If you are going to let 6 million people just wander into the fucking country, you need to distribute them. And you need to be sending the money to the points of entry, not fucking New York. New York dug their own grave by shooting off their mouth, okay? Arizona just happens to be on the border. And again, here, we're going to do a curfew program for families seeking asylum that essentially is going to expedite their removal if there's no reason for them to be here. Okay, if they just came here looking for some handouts, they're going home. And so they're going to expand it. All right, well, let's look at where they're going to expand it. San Francisco, San Diego, San Jose. All right, 2 extremely liberal towns and one that's, I would say, somewhat moderate. Maybe a little more conservative, but moderate. But where is that coming from? Oh, let's see. Baltimore, Washington, Chicago, New Jersey, and soon Boston. Wow. All right. So you're going to help out those blue cities. What about all of the damn cities on the border? The people that, oh, wait, they're red. You see how that's working? That's the kind of shit that no matter what side you're on, no matter if you loved Obama or you hate Obama, you love Biden and hate Trump or vice frickin' versa. All right? The fact that federal aid, federal programs designed to deal with this flood of migrants that the left is entirely responsible for, okay? They're going to help out their cities first. That is not the kind of government you want to live in, okay? Because, trust me, right now, you might be out there blocking traffic going, just stop oil, right? Okay? Maybe you got the BLM bumper sticker. But you know what? At some time, You may just stray across to the other side. And then all of a sudden, they're just going to fuck you over. All right? The whole purpose of government is not to fuck people over. All right? I know. It's a revolutionary thought. But that's what it is. And look, other people who are, of course, on the far left, this Heidi chick here, right? Director of Policy at the National Immigration Justice Center, thinks, oh, this is mean to deport them even though they don't belong here because, the U.S. has the resources and capacity to provide a respectful welcome to people in need of protection. If they're in need of protection, we're really supposed to believe that every single fucker who came over here right now under the Biden administration needs protection? Yeah, protection from being broke, protection from having to pay for their own shit. Let's just say 50% of them. We are looking at incredible numbers of people who are only coming here to suck off our public system, or criminals coming here to, again, pollute our citizens with shit like fucking fentanyl and fake medicine and, believe it or not, guns. Because, hey, how do you protect your drug trade? Guns. Bringing over criminals and stuff. And again, they just want to focus on saving the blue cities. That's not, right now, if there was a Republican president and he was sending money to Texas and Arizona, you could say, oh, but he's sending it to he's sending it to the border cities that happen to be red. Last time I checked, San Francisco and Chicago are not on the southern border. I don't think they're on the northern border either. Chicago might be a little closer. You might have me there. But I know Newark ain't. Meanwhile, here in Hollywood land, Karen Bass calls for an immediate resolution of the Hollywood strikes because we need to get a deal to immediately get back to work. Right. Yeah, it is critical that this gets resolved immediately so that Los Angeles gets back on track. Oh, so that's what it is, Bass. And she emphasizes the economic damage of the dual strikes. So is she there for the people who are being abused by the studios, who are being taken advantage of? No. She's on the side of, I need LA to look good so that I can get reelected. I'm going to tell you I only care about doing the right thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm only going to do the right thing by Karen Bass. Fucking politics. Yeah, I love this one. We're now finding out the damaging results of the mandated return to the office. And it's worse than we thought. Half of people are upset. Almost a third of companies that are enforcing office returns are struggling with recruitment. Meanwhile, a staggering 76% of employees stand ready to jump ship if their company decides to pull the plug on flexible work schedules. Those damn forklift operators again. No, it's the pampered fucking people. It's the people who could be easily replaced. It's the people who don't fucking sweat during the day. That's who's fucking crying about it. This is employee priorities: increased compensation, greater job security, career advancement opportunities, better flexible work policies. Sure, a more positive company culture. You know what that means, right? ESG. In other words, excluding career-centric factors such as pay, security, and promotions, flexible work policies ranks first in the employee priorities. Way to spin shit to prove your article. Yeah, sure. Remove the top 3 teams in 4th place wins because it's science and math and all that. Give me a fucking break. 50% of the people nearly. 48% increased compensation. But of course, Fortune magazine's like, it's about the flexible work. Yeah. Where flexible work actually works, whatever. I don't really care. But if your company says we need you in the office, then you go to the office. Or you change jobs, which is bad for both parties, probably. We found suspected Chinese malware hidden in various U.S. military systems. Its intended use is disruption, right? The malware could also have the ability to disrupt normal civilian life or businesses. Meanwhile, just yesterday, a cyber attack disrupted multiple hospitals. Look, if the Chinese dropped a bomb on a hospital, we would go to war. What are we going to do about this? We need a response. This is bullshit. We can't have the Russians, the Chinese, and the cartels disrupting us, because I'll tell you right now, I know a little bit about military doctrine. And the first thing you do is you disrupt the civilians. When the civilians start to flee the city, it makes it harder for the army to come in, because they're going to have to stop and help them. They're going to be blocking roads, and meanwhile, you're driving in on the nice empty highways. Okay? That's the way it works. We need to realize that our greatest enemy out there is China. Okay? You see, then that's one of the things that neither red or blue seem to really care about, for different reasons. Meanwhile, with all these problems, the Department of Energy has sold millions of barrels of oil from the article likes to do this, SPR. That's Strategic Petroleum Reserves. They are undermining our military if there was a war. That's why we have the SPR. So that if we go to war, somebody can't cut us off from oil. Obviously, we make our own oil here, but because of idiots like fucking Newsom and Biden, we produce a lot less of it right now. And we need our strategic petroleum reserves. But we're selling it to China? You see, that's the problem. Biden took money from China. Biden is giving sweetheart deals in the form of green energy to China, who controls a lot of the productions of solar panels, windmills. They control most of Africa, where cobalt comes from. Look that shit up. He is sold out to our enemy. That's why I don't understand how anybody supports Biden. I don't understand how people support the left. They are completely un-American at this point. Sure, they're right about a few things. Okay? Yeah, they're right about gay rights and weed. I get that. All right? But that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is fucking China. The problem is the cost of everything. The problem is that despite coming out of a pandemic, entering into a recession, the left went full steam ahead with their fucking agenda. Damn us all. We're doing our agenda because we want the fucking donations. We want the kickbacks. We want the money on the side. Chinese company gives Biden money. Biden gives green money and oil from the strategic oil reserves back to China. We're shuttering our military. We want our military to go electric as China gears up. Yeah, they're our enemy. And with this one, White House says Bidenomics so successful, the average American has twice as many jobs as they had 2 years ago. And it's true. My wife has to work a lot more now. Before she'd work a couple days a week, a little extra money that we were saving, what she made we'd save. No longer, we have to spend that money. Those are the simple facts. The simple facts is that the Biden administration has been a failure. He has sold out to China. He has sold out the American people. And along the way, he's exposed the fact that red and blue politicians are in cahoots to keep their jobs, to keep that money coming. And fuck us all. Purple State Party is about the people, not in a communist way. In the way that our founding fathers set this shit up. Follow those laws. Let the states take care of the states. Shrink the government. Don't have the government telling us how we're supposed to feel about things. Don't try to direct the narrative. And the only way we do that is to get rid of the media. Because the media is just doing the clickbait. They're just selling the stories and covering up the stories. They're doing the bidding of the left. The people on the right are not bringing forth enough truth without rhetoric. So people are lost. They're just staying in their little camps. And we have to break this tribal allegiance that we have with these fucking political groups because they're all trying to screw us over. And sadly, there's very few of them, but one of the names that's not trying to screw us over is Trump. That, to me, is just fucking mind-boggling. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State Party, and so are you. Love one another. Vote with your head, not your hopes. Peace out, dance it out.